let's return to one of our other stories, the European summit taking place in Budapest, Hungary. Mr. Trump's coming presidency is top of the agenda from what we understand there. Let's cross over to London and speak to the European Affairs analyst, Dr. Marek Laskiewicz. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Dr. Laskiewicz. I understand we had problems connecting with you. The line was apparently not working very well. But let me start by asking you, European leaders, as I mentioned, are meeting in Hungary to discuss the impact of Donald Trump's victory on Europe. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there are 3 points to be made. First of all, it is in Hungary, and it's well known that Orban is very pro-Trump. And I'm wondering if it's just a coincidence, because what they're going to have to face up with is dealing with Trump. And the other European leaders have already expressed at one point or another their dislike of him. And therefore, it's quite interesting whether Orban will now play a greater role. Although up till now, of course, he's been put aside, if you like, shunned precisely because he was so pro-Trump. Secondly, whether this summit will be able to arrive at any conclusion is hard to say, because all the cards are in Trump's hands. Europe is largely defensive. It does not want a trade war, but Trump is quite willing to put up the tariffs. It would like NATO to continue, but Trump is unenthusiastic. It's mentioned some support, of course, for Ukraine now. It's being ever greater, but Trump has said already he would prefer to see an end to the war. And ultimately, it's unpredictable. And therefore, if it's unpredictable, it's hard to see what this summit will achieve. I imagine the key point will be what they're going to do about Ukraine and Trump, because Germany's coalition has collapsed. And as a result, there is no real European alternative to the States until Germany decides which way it's going.
That's interesting. And I wonder if the American election and the ascendancy of Mr. Trump might just bring Europeans together, or might his return to power deepen the divisions, especially with loose ends, as you mentioned, such as Viktor Orban in Hungary and other right-wing governments in Austria, Slovakia, and the Netherlands?
I don't believe that Donald Trump will prove a force to bring Europe more together, because the divisions are actually much deeper than anything Trump has to offer in that respect. But what it will do is it simply highlights just how disunited Europe is, and how it really has become, in many ways, a fourth power behind not only America and China, but arguably even behind Russia, in the sense its disunity means it cannot really do much. Now, with Germany's coalition collapsing, I do not see how there can be any unified voice, because Germany was the most important country in Europe. And therefore, until it says what it wants and how is it going to go about things, the rest of Europe really can not do anything as a group. I therefore assert that the effect of the Trump presidency will not be to drive Europe together, but it's the second option you've stated, which is indeed a case, because if Trump has won, obviously other far-right leaders will also and possibly gather some momentum from this and even some effect from this. And that is a worry for Europe. And so in that respect, I don't see Trump as a positive force for European unity at all.
Okay, on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed, Dr. Marek Laskiewicz. I apologize that it was a fairly short interview, but apparently the connection to you is not very good. We could hear you very well, but the picture is a bit wonky, I'm afraid. Dr. Marek Laskiewicz is a European Affairs analyst who was talking to me on the line there from London.